everybody, welcome to Shyam's Storytime. I have an interesting Akbar and Birbal story for you all today. It is called The Tank of Milk. This happened long ago when King Akbar had Birbal as one of his courtiers. Birbal was very clever and Akbar always had a soft corner for his dear minister Birbal. It so happened that a new minister joined Akbar's court. His name was Shadi Shah. Suddenly, Akbar grew very fond of Shadi Shah. Now, Birbal did not mind it, okay, as long as Shadi Shah was also okay. But it so happened that Shadi Shah was flattering Akbar all the time. What do you mean by flattering somebody? That means simply telling them that you are great, you are the best, and all that. Akbar generally was able to see through false people, but in this case, he actually failed for some reason, and he thought that Shadi Shah was genuine. And Akbar had Shadi Shah in all the meetings, discussing with him the state affairs and everything else. Birbal was waiting for an opportunity to teach a lesson to Shadi Shah, to speak only what he means and not just flatter the emperor all the time. One day, Akbar, Birbal and Shadi Shah were taking a stroll around the palace. It was a sultry evening. The emperor was feeling rather hot and sweaty. As they were passing through the outer walls of the palace, they came across a dry tank. Akbar exclaimed, "Look at this tank. I wish there was cold water in it. I could have had a nice swim. In this sultry weather, a swim would have been awesome," exclaimed the emperor. Now, Birbal was wondering, how come this tank has become dry? We should have had some water in it for the emperor to have a nice swim. Like that, Birbal was thinking. Whereas Shadi Shah said, "What? Emperor Akbar, how could you say that you want to take a dip in water? You must have a dip in a tank filled with milk," he said. Even Akbar was taken aback for a while. Who would take a dip in milk? After all, your skin would become sticky and all that, right? Now, Birbal couldn't take it at all. He looked at Shadi Shah and said, "Why don't you arrange for a tank of milk so the emperor can take a dip?" he said. Shadi Shah himself was surprised a little bit. He didn't expect it at all. "Oh, well, I don't know how to arrange for a tank of milk," he said. Birbal told him, "Oh, I can give you an idea. Why don't you make a proclamation all around the city? Tell everybody that is present there to bring a bucket of milk and pour it into this tank. If all of them do it the entire evening and night, tomorrow morning we will have a tank of milk ready for the emperor to take a royal dip. How is my idea?" he asked. Now, Shadi Shah was in a fix. He didn't know if it will work. Akbar looked at Birbal. He thought it was a nice thing to do. "Let me see how this enrolls itself," thought Akbar. He looked at Shadi Shah and said, "Go ahead, make the arrangement. I like this idea." Saying so, the emperor walked away. Shadi Shah didn't know what to do. He had to carry out the instruction of the king, is it not? So he went about calling guards, making arrangements, going around telling everybody to bring a bucket of milk to pour into this tank. All the people were also surprised. Where would they go for a bucket full of milk in this evening? But most of them had cows with them, and this was a very prosperous kingdom. So each one of them agreed. Soon there was a big queue that had lined up outside the tank. Shadi Shah had arranged for 2 guards to stay there, and they are going to take turns with other guards. So round the clock, this part of the kingdom is going to have guards. They're going to make sure that all the people empty their bucket full of milk into the tank. Birbal just came and took a sneak peek. "Oh, that's interesting," he thought. He also went away. The entire night, people were pouring buckets full of milk into the tank. The entire night it happened. The next morning, Akbar and Birbal were curious to come and see what was there in store for them. Both of them hurried to the tank. Shadi Shah was already there and his face was very grumpy. Now Akbar looked at the tank. To his surprise, the tank was full, not with creamy milk, but with water. It was clear and full with water. Akbar asked Shadi Shah, "What's happening here? You said you were going to have a tank full of milk for me to take a dip." Shadi Shah said, "That's what even I thought, Your Majesty, but looks like people have put in water here." Birbal smiled. Akbar looked at Birbal and said, "You are the man behind all of this. I am sure you are not surprised. You know that this is going to happen, right? Tell me what's behind it," asked Akbar. Birbal said, "Your Majesty, this was not my plan. This was simply my prediction. If you ask the entire kingdom to come and pour a bucketful of milk each, do you think anybody will do that? Everybody will think that I will just pour one bucket of water. When the whole lot of people are pouring milk in it, one bucket of water is not going to make a difference." But this is what everybody would think. And that's exactly what happened. Everyone has poured in a bucket full of water in it. Shah Disha said, "Guards, you were standing here the entire night. Didn't you notice that people were pouring water in it?" He screamed at the court. Two guards that were standing there came running and said, "I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. We did not think that they were pouring water. It was after all dark. We didn't see what they were pouring. We only made sure that everybody was pouring a bucket full of something into it. We assumed that it was milk. Only when there was daylight, we discovered it was water after all. Please accept our apologies." Both the guards pleaded. Emperor Akbar looked at them and said, "Go away, it's okay." Then he looked at Birbal. "I knew you were the man behind it, Birbal." He embraced him and said, "Birbal, you know what? I have understood one thing. Whatever somebody says, I should not simply fall for it. Yeah, thank you for teaching me this lesson," said Akbar. That's exactly what happened. Did you like today's story? My name is Shamala and this is my channel Shyam's Storytime. Do subscribe and have access to many stories that I upload. Bye bye.